Hello traders, this is Mike Hamilton and you're looking at the DAX daily, and so we pushed into 11,750 today in the first half of the Euro session. As we came into the second half of the Euro session, we put in a 15-minute reversal bar, and here we are. But all the highs throughout the rest of the session in the US session just sold. So if we get any kind of pullback tomorrow, 11,500 is the obvious target. Anything a little higher will be welcome, to see if we can roll back down to at least this level here and possibly a little lower. Who knows, maybe even 10.5. 11,000 obviously is a big number, so that could be easily our next target. And obviously we're not, compared with the sort of couple of two and a half legs we've had down already, that's not that far away. Okay, so I'm going to let the market come to me tomorrow and then see if it could be into the US session before we can pick the next leg down, but let's see. This is the Dow. Dow's a lot trickier. It looked okay for a couple of hours and then eventually just kept making lower highs, and here we are underneath this level here. So we closed underneath the 55. Any pullback to 980, 18,000 is to be shorted to see if we can wind our way down to these levels down here. 17.5, 17.4, who knows? But it's a nice distribution pattern. And now, so even if you missed today, there should be plenty of opportunity to get short this market, to see if we can copy the sort of patterns that we've had over here. And moving on, the dollar at the moment is still very, very weak, and this Euro US, which I tried to short and got stopped out, is sitting inside of Monday's range with some data tomorrow. Let's just check what that is. And data tomorrow is some inflationary data in the early part of the session, services for the UK at 9:30, then Euro retail sales at 10, and then we get the first snippet of US job data, ADP non-farm employment change. That gives a little indication of what might be coming up in the next couple of days. Tomorrow we've got the weekly jobs figure, and then we've got the full non-farm payroll on Friday. So it could be this market hangs around until we get the Euro retail sales out and then makes its move. But like I said, we're stuck in Monday's range there. We've dipped lower, but otherwise that's pretty much matching Monday's range. So, but there's a reversal bar up here, so if we push into 112.2550, I'll look to see if we get any reversal bars up there. Otherwise, let's face it, at the moment it's holding up, so I've got to be careful not to carry the bear torch and just let this market come to me and let the market tell me what it wants to do. Euro yen is similar. We've tested this 135.30. We're still closing inside there. So all the time we're sitting up here, we could continue higher, but obviously the RSI is very, very high. We could just be forming a distribution pattern, getting ready to leg down later in the week. So I would leave these I'd be inclined to leave these Euro pairs unless you get a clear signal for at least a 15-minute chart. Looking at the pound yen, we're sitting on this fib zone with services data tomorrow, so just look out for that. It's potentially a stopping bar, but I think a break of 181.40 and that could see us tumbling down to at least 180, which isn't that far off. Okay, so we'll look at that as and when the data comes out and look to see if we get any reversal signals higher up on that one. The pound Aussie dollar, Aussies have cut the rates, but it's all priced in, and the markets are very range bound, and we're stuck between 191 and 195. Obviously the bias towards the weak side now. We've got that seller's bar in front of us. So I will sit tight, and could be, obviously we've got the UK election a couple of days away. That sort of uncertainty doesn't feed well into a market, so let's see what happens as we get the election out of the way. But in the meantime, I will leave that because the risk-reward ratio is limited even for an intraday trade. So here's the Aussie US, so cut rates and Aussie US charges up. I think the reason being is that some are assuming that the rate cutting is over and done with now. So they could be forming a base here to take this back up to 81.5, 82. Any retests of 80 are going to be very, very tough to get through, so could come into 20 and then just roll over. In the meantime, I would just personally just leave it. I think there's a better chance out there. And let's have a look at the US dollar CAD. US dollar CAD, you can see, tested the 120, came up 75 points on the back of that. I would leave that. I mean, that's just in no man's land, absolutely no man's land. So that's tough. If we start cracking above 120, 130, that could do something, but otherwise I would just leave that. This Aussie CAD is an interesting chart because now the Aussies have reduced their rates. The pressure's on for New Zealand to cut rates, and so the market seems to be pricing that eventuality in. So 95.30 could be a good option. I'm actually going to alarm that because if we see that, I think that is a potential good option to see if we can get another leg similar to the one that we had from December through to late January. Okay, turning my attention now to the gold. Gold is definitely trying to hold up here. You can see this 1180 got bought yesterday, and we're pushing up into close to 1200 again. Hard to call. What I would say is, for the case for the bulls, is this is increasingly looking like the buying pattern here. This is increasingly looking like a buying pattern here. This is a very congested area as far as the bulls are concerned. So the bulls have got a lot of work to do to bring that up, because if we simply just start breaking down here, then that's toast. And a good non-farm payroll might do that. That might bring the strength back in the dollar. So tomorrow is going to be critical as the first flavour of a 3-day period of US job data. So I'll be looking very carefully as to what that 1:15 UK time data might mean for the rest of the week. Okay, we'd look at oil and then we'll leave it for there. Oil's taken advantage of the strong euro and the weak dollar, and is pushing up into this 63, 60, 64 area. Would I buy a pullback? I don't like buying that close to resistance and that high, but it is stepping up. We've had 1, 2, we're into the third leg now, so it's a question if that leg has still got more juice. I think it has. We've closed the highest level since this seller's bar here on the 10th of December. So at the moment the buyers are in control, so I would keep buying pullbacks until they stop working. Alright, I'll leave it there. Let's just look at a couple of stocks I'm interested in. Okay, so I've now got weekly on the left, daily on the right. This Galliford's has charged up and pulled back again, so this is a property chart, property company. Facebook, just to prove just how weak the markets are, Facebook is just not holding up, but I will let this one come down and then try and later in the summer and the coming weeks, if this is going to bottom, then I would look to buy into this one. Let's already try and pick a spot on this. That was the main last big move. Yeah, that when a fib level works, then you possibly may have the right fib chart on there. 68. So a retrace back to 68 is possible. At which point I would get interested, because we've had 1, 2, 3 waves. A, B. So this is a C wave correction, which is not finished yet. So I think this is going to be quite a key focus for me as time goes on, as the summer unfolds, and I look to get a position on that one. Would I short this? No, not with that amount of support underneath it. The risk-reward ratio for a short, unless you got in nice and high, that risk-reward ratio is poor at the moment. Switching back to a UK stock, this one is coming back into the lower part of this funnel pattern. So we've held yesterday's open. Is that yesterday's? No, it's Friday's. Sorry, we've held Friday's open. I wasn't sure if this chart took into account Monday's price action, but it doesn't. If we can't close back above 1580 tomorrow, then I would suggest that that is a short. At the very least, I would leave that alone. AA, this is just the kind of period where you're going to see a lot of profit taking. So if you get a very, very big move up into a resistance area, you might want to at least take some off. This is really struggling. There's a lot of selling up here from late March, and the sellers have jumped back in on that pullback into late April. W.H. Smith, that's a sell signal. We've got a sell signal. I would look to, I'm going to try and short into 1440. So, and then have a stop at 1470 on that one. In fact, I'll mark that. I'll alarm 1440 to remind me to get short, and I will mark 1470 up there. So my risk is this much, and my target is going to be 13. Okay. Right, I've got some other stocks I want to show you. This is Yum, clear reversal bar. It's a big stock. The support levels has had a massive run. Support levels right down there, 83.45. I'm going to try and short, see if I can get a pullback to 90.95. So I'm going to be patient, and then I'm going to need a stop above that one up there. I want to see if I can get back to 83.45, and I'm going to give that time. I'm not going to, if I don't get hit tomorrow, I'm going to give that time. In fact, I'm just going to go a little, I'm going to be cheeky and offer out a lot higher up. I'm just going to try that level up there. Okay, so I don't know why that's not moved my target. Okay, I'm just going to try and get short up there. So I'm going to be patient. If it just because it had such a massive move, I don't want to short too low. I want to try and be greedy and just wait for that to push up. Another one I like. This is NUE Nucor. I like the way that's a reversal bar under the 200. So again, I'm going to try and short into this reversal bar at 49.20 with a stop above the highs, and then see if I can wind our way down to that level there. Okay, that's all I've got for you. See you in the room tomorrow. Happy evening.